NFL players have had a history of being drugged and done all type of dirty. If you are a Chiefs fan way back when, you'll remember this story.
About noon today, we got the scoop from our sister station in Miami about that trade. Our sports producer, Todd Lebo, then got on the horn to Kevin Keatsman, who was at the Hyatt where the Chiefs' annual kickoff luncheon had just gotten underway. As Keats reports tonight, there was no way to stop the proceedings, and things got a little sticky.
You've seen the kickoff luncheon. Every year, Marty gets up and almost cries when he talks about his team's chances.
We're looking at it as unfinished business. And for this community and these fans, anything less than a championship will be unsuccessful.
But this Chiefs kickoff luncheon was a little bit different. Different because as one player walked through these doors, past the balloons, and into a room full of people cheering him on, Chiefs CEO Carl Peterson was busy pulling off a trade for his replacement. Kicker Bjorn Nitmo received one of the biggest ovations of the day, but it was his last as a Chief. Headed to Kansas City, one of the best kickers in the game, Pete Stoyanovich. He blasted a 58-yarder against the Chiefs in the playoffs in '90. He's deadly accurate even on the long kicks, but because his salary is around $800,000, the Dolphins couldn't keep him under the salary cap. CEO Carl Peterson would not comment on the trade at the luncheon, and judging from the program at the podium, News Channel 4 and Peterson were the only ones in the room that knew about it.
Right now, we have a good left-footed kicker, Bjorn Nitmo. It's nice to have him here. I've known him for about 8 years through the World League. So it's kind of fun to have a friend, back on the team, and it's a lot of fun.
Between his friends' words and the roar of the crowd, Nitmo was eating the power lunch of his life. Moments later, he'd find out his replacement was meeting the team in Chicago. Football is a tough business. Kevin Keatsman, News Channel 4.
Damn, Nitmo. So it seems like what ESPN did was leak this shit because they don't know what to do. There was an article that people were paying attention that had dropped that said Ryan Clark was getting fired. And, yeah. So we're going to give the credit to where the credit goes to Bobby Burak, who actually broke the story. And it was saying, and this is from Outkick. Now, Outkick is owned by Fox News. ESPN partnered ways with NFL analyst Ryan Clark ahead of network's first Super Bowl broadcast. Clark, earning roughly $2 million per year, re-signed with ESPN in 2024 after a contentious contract negotiation. And it says Pat McAfee has overtaken Stephen A. as the face of ESPN, which is funny because I ain't seen nothing with Pat McAfee on there. But whatever. Clark is expected to be part of a round of layoffs the network could announce as soon as Tuesday. Outkick is now, well, we don't care about that. The NFL analyst will be among the highest paid on-air personalities ESPN cuts, sources said, earning roughly $2 million per year. It is unclear whether Clark's contract is expiring or whether he is being sidelined with time remaining on his deal. Clark joined ESPN after retiring from the NFL in 2015 and re-signed with the network in 2021 for 3 years. And in 2024, the two sides had contentious contract negotiations, and Clark posted on social media at the time that he felt he deserved more, and ESPN disagreed. Ultimately, the two sides agreed to a deal. The timing of the decision is particularly notable given Clark's role on ESPN Monday night's Countdown pregame NFL coverage. The network is set to carry its first Super Bowl on February 14th. Sources say ESPN is considering both internal and external candidates to replace Clark on its Super Bowl studio coverage. Then he goes on to say, over the past year, he has also generated headlines for criticizing Robert Griffin III over his marriage to a white woman. And
in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that. But it also leads to what Black women deal with a lot from Black men who have chose to date or marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up the woman that they're married or the woman that they're with over Black women by denigrating Black women. I feel like we should have an opportunity to move past that and understand that Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as Caitlin Clark is as well. Caitlin Clark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the Black women that have come before her. And now she is carrying the mantle forward. So there's no need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes. And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know, that no matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racists, he'll be no less Black than me.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me got pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it.
On-air exchange with Peter Schrager that reportedly continued off-air.
Wake up this morning. Are you feeling, okay, you look at A.J. Brown, which is this #1 wide receiver who got 1 target all night, and then you got CeeDee Lamb.
But that's the, when was the one target?
That's the target,
but
though.
I'm saying, when was the one target?
I'm saying you could have it both ways.
54 seconds left in the game on 2nd and 11. It was the one target. He runs the out route.
You wake up this morning saying A.J. Brown had a better day than CeeDee Lamb?
But you know what you wake up saying, though? A.J. Brown's team is 1-0.
Of course.
Right, like that's what,
I get it.
But the thing is this, though, and we shouldn't do this on TV. And so I apologize if people think this is rude. That's the non-player.
Oh, stop. That's, no, CeeDee Lamb is.
Let me tell you why. I'm not saying.
I'm not looking at fantasy football. Ryan, I'm not, don't belittle me like that. I could come in and say, as 3 ex-players are saying one thing and give an alternative perspective that maybe CeeDee Lamb did play well. And
Peter, what I need for you to do is not get mad and let me finish for one.
Okay, go on.
It wasn't about you. It was going to be about me.
Okay.
As a player, I can't speak for CeeDee Lamb. I'm speaking for me.
And making the disputed claims about how Louisiana police officers handled the fatal crash involving former LSU player Kyron Lacy, who died by taking himself away.
Yes, please. Yes. Second, please. I beg your pardon. I did want to clear space for this.
1 second, please.
This is important.
Yes, guys, Kyron Lacy was supposed to be in the NFL. Kyron Lacy was accused of something and being investigated for something that he didn't do, and he died having to live with the guilt and the consequences of a guilty man knowing he was innocent. It recently was discovered that he was 72 yards away from the crash, that police and state policemen tried to coerce and doctor and use ways to manipulate statements that put this young man behind bars. They changed his joy, they changed his life, and eventually he took his own life. This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was supposed to be here. At some point throughout his career, I would expect to have said his name. So I'm going to say his name tonight.
Amen.
Kyron Lacy was innocent. Kyron Lacy should be here with us. Nothing will ever repair or replace the pain that their parents, that his parents have to feel and his loved ones have to feel. But we could say his name. There were so many stations that ran the fact that he was being investigated. So I wanted to make sure here with Scott, we could say that he was an innocent man and at least know that he has that as he rests.
You and I talked about this earlier tonight, and I'll just share with them what I share with you. I can't recall ever seeing something that made me react viscerally to the point that I felt like my hands were trembling to think that there's video that shows that this is not at all what happened. And that young man took his life. And so I will not say any more. It's your thoughts here. I just wanted to echo.
Thank you very much.
No, and my apologies for forgetting that, because this is a more important thing than we're talking about tonight. Ryan Clark, I appreciate you always.
Then it goes on to say, Outkick reached out to ESPN for comment on Clark's status with the network, but the network did not provide a statement before publication. This is a breaking news story. Check back with Outkick for updates. And it is crazy because one person that I could never stand who understood the 48 laws of power, but in the worst way of never outshining the master and stabbing people in the back from his perception. I don't know if this is true, but according to Marcellus Wiley, this is true, which I don't really like Marcellus Wiley either. But Acho, what?
All right, it's time to talk about this Ryan Clark firing. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Number one, objectively, he's a good analyst. Why? He's brought NFL Live to Emmy Awards, of which they had never won before, and they likely will not win after. So I understand that fans, more than anything, we value y'all's opinions. We make the shows for y'all. But regardless of whether you think he's great or you think he's terrible, objectively speaking, he got the accolades to prove his greatness. With that being said, firing a man during his show that he's helped bring an Emmy Award is wild. I got a story for y'all. I'm going to hold that for the next 10 seconds. Wild. Why did they say they did it? Because they didn't want him to find out on social media. So you fire him during a show and pull him during the last 10 minutes of the segment? I digress. Story time. Last year when I got fired, if you work long enough at a job, you're going to get fired. Last year when I got fired, they had us find out on social media. We found out on social media. More often than not, executives are cowards. Former athletes, we're used to tough information. Just tell it to us. We done been cut before, broken bones before, had surgeries before. Ryan Clark notably couldn't play a game in like Denver, Colorado because he had a disease, I think an autoimmune something. Like, bruh, we're used to tough things. Just tell us. With that being said, note for anybody that wants to get into sports television. Start to create your own show so you can't be fired. Incubate yourself from being fired from an executive. Because here's the most fascinating dichotomy of everything. Once you get good, you will become so good that you become too expensive to afford. And networks can only afford so many great talent. McAfee, Stephen A. Smith, to some degree Greenberg, they're getting the big money for doing daily shows on ESPN. I'm not talking about the Sunday shows. Those game day shows, anything tethered around live events, way too much money. Everybody got money on those shows. But daily shows, if you get so good, there comes a point they can't afford you. That's the dichotomy of it all. Love, Ryan. I already texted you that privately, but I'll tell you publicly as well.
But I really think if you were going to fire Ryan Clark, you should have fired his ass for this insane, terrible take.
Okay, RC, you heard the question. Are the Super Bowl expectations realistic for the Cowboys this year?
You know what? They are realistic this year. You go get Christian Parker from the Philadelphia Eagles. He understands how to keep the top on the defense, not give up the big play. And you're expecting someone like DeMarvion Overshown to be exactly what we saw him ascending to be before the injury. We watched him play a little bit last year. I expect him to be fully healthy and be an X factor in what they want to do. It's also going to be about how you acclimate Caleb Downs. You pick him in the top 12 of the NFL draft. Many people thought he would go earlier. He's an absolute savant when it comes to defensive football. How do you implement him? How do you use him? Is he going to be the nickel? Is he going to be the down safety? Will you keep him in the middle of the field? Can we see him one-on-one with tight ends? That's going to be very important to this defense because let's not get it twisted. If this offense is the same thing, they just have to be all right this year. And so if we could see George Pickens in camp, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and Shoddy get those guys going, this could be a team that we're actually talking about at the end of the season, not just the beginning.
Listen, man. The mother flipping Cowboys will be fighting for third place in the NFC East. So we ain't trying to hear none of that bullshit. And I'm going to be honest, right? It's sometimes how you say things. With the with the Robert Griffin III thing, it's how you say certain things. Having the questions of if you done and did certain things are completely different than automatically assuming because that's how it came off. When it comes to the Kyrie Lacey shit, he was 100% right. Now, the stuff with, and this is where people just can't tell the truth. A lot of analysts who do this, meaning who haven't played in the NFL, they do great jobs because a lot of the NFL types are biased. They come from that protection of the brotherhood. It's not like we didn't see, what's the boy that played? CJ Stroud be effing terrible, and we could see him dropping back and knowing that there's a glare coming. It's freaking cold as shit. He can't throw the ball. You more so want to run the ball in the freezing, chilling cold when it's windy as hell. We understand the elements. We aren't dumb. So for some of these athletes, they say stupid things like that to kind of belittle people as though if you didn't play, you shouldn't have anything to say. Right. But it's those debates that put you people on stages to come with a different aspect because the common man and the way that the common man speaks the game is for the analysts who never played and those who Monday morning armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, this shit basically Captain Hindsight. Everybody does it. And he's had some interesting takes I didn't agree with where he said, oh, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning aren't generational players. And I'm like, all right, I'm willing to hear you out. But once he dropped Drew Brees, I stopped listening. I'm like, yeah, hell no. Because Drew Brees is what accuracy is. Now, he did say that number 12, Aaron Rodgers, was the greatest thrower of the football that he's ever seen. I tend to agree with that. He did say Andrew Luck was a generational player and Patrick Mahomes is a generational player. I can agree with that. But the difference between Tom Brady is he was a maniac in the goddamn film room, the best ever. See, he was the greatest because of his prep. That's why. With Peyton Manning, he didn't have a freaking rocket arm, but he could read the line. He could manipulate the defense before you said hike. He was playing mind games with people before the ball was even hiked. That's where Tom Brady, that's where Peyton Manning's magic was. If you don't want to do that, then don't do it because you don't want to give accolades and to mention big names and then make those big names not seem as big. That's how you get people talking. That's part of sportsmanship and showsmanship. Well, showsmanship, not sportsmanship. But this right here, oh well. We don't know what the contract was. I can't point to race or none of that shit because goddamn Stephen A is the highest paid up there. But what I will say is this. ESPN been doing this shit, man. Mike Tirico got fired. A bevy of people what's my guy, man? He used to be with Stuart Scott. That was my guy, bruh. And then everybody who got let go with freaking Around the Horn. The Woody Pages and Tony Reale and all of these cats, bro, this is just a part of the business, unfortunately. People get fired. But it's the way that you do things. Like I say, the way that he says things, that's what matters. ESPN, bro, he's an NFL football player, bro. He's used to being cut. He's used to being let go. Y'all could have did it way better. But y'all did it how y'all gonna do it. Shit, when y'all fired Molly, they swear that nobody was gonna. Nigga ain't thought about Molly ever since. Shout out First Take. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this one.